everybody out there watching and tuning in. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you taking the time to tune in. And I will be making a little bit of stir fry in order to, eat for today and tomorrow. So, will be a few little things such as some Chinese cauliflower, some daikon, a little bit of bok choy, and I have some mushroom with some thinly sliced beef. Thinking about adding walnuts and whatnot. Uh-oh, that's gonna be problematic. Let's see. I'm gonna need this. Whoa, you're on. That's not good. So let's do that. Change you, because I'm gonna need you for seasoning later. And we're gonna prep things up a little bit. Gonna wash these off. Snip ends off. So the trick about stir fry is understanding how fast everything cooks. Once you're got a keen idea how fast everything cooks, you throw it in at the appropriate time. Oh, let's grab some ginger too. So usually, the fastest thing that'll probably cook is that I have here will probably be the meat because it's cut extremely thin, but the bok choy would be the next contender. The cauliflower may take a little bit longer to cook, but being that if you don't have knife skills and you're not that fast at cutting things, I'd advise that you cut everything prior before you start cooking. I just did some rice, so we're gonna turn that off. Uh-oh, I messed up. I forgot to put oil and salt. The rice is a little bit more sticky than normal. That's alright. Put a little bit. See if that'll work. But normally, put a little bit of salt and oil in the water when you cook it, and that'll help this rice become not as sticky. And I'm using a medium grain rice. That's washed only once, but this is the rice that I was using. Made in California. Also gonna add ginger, garlic, create a base flavor so when I'm cooking everything down I will be able to have everything done, but I'm just gonna sit here and prep real quick, kind of get a heads up on the cooking time. there was a sale on this cauliflower, so I'm gonna cook all of it, stems and all. Love stems. And since I want the cauliflower to be a little al dente, I'm gonna put it in last minute in order to make sure that there's a little crunch and don't turn to mush. What I'm gonna do is cut my ginger large, and what that's gonna do is the larger you cut the ginger, the longer it's gonna take to cook, which means you can throw it in, create your infusions with oils a lot earlier. So I'm gonna do pretty thin slices. I'm gonna cut it back into juliennes or julienne slice in order to maximize surface exposure for a nice infusion of the essences and the oils. Alright. So since these are baby bok choy, I'm not even gonna cut them. That way I can kind of like grab them whole and eat them. So we're not gonna worry about those. What I can do though in the meantime is wash my cauliflower. While I'm doing that, we're probably gonna give these cauliflower a rough chop, just to get them all cooking equally, because if everything is not cut equal, then it's gonna cook faster than all the other ingredients, and that is a no good. Alright, so let's do one more item. Only gonna do half of an onion. So only we're looking for essences at this point. Take the other one and use it later. And I'm just gonna cut this large. Since everything's gonna be large, I want to be able to like grab it either with chopsticks or fork, whatever your preference is. But if you want to fit something in a spoon or a fork, that's what you're gonna want to determine your cuts by. But since I'm not worried about size, I'm just doing everything large so I can get this ball on the move. Alright, so that's gonna cook fast. Next we're gonna do these here king trumpet mushrooms. Gonna go half moons. Oh, running out of room. So let's do this. We're gonna push you back here. So the mushrooms have about a pretty medium cook time. So in order to maximize the flavor, they can taste like ink if they don't not cook right. So timing, another big key for these. Num 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 num. I can eat these raw all day. And last but not least, daikon. And if somebody is viewing in, I'm sorry, I'm not looking at my screen. I am engulfed in cooking. I'm just gonna take off the skin. Daikon, I like the taste of radish. A little bitter. I kind of like a little crunch to it, but most people are fooled and they think daikon's potatoes when I cook them, and or any type of radish. They hold up, they're pretty resilient, they don't break down. So if you don't like that sharp, bitter radish taste, the more you cook them down to pull the flavor out of them, the less tart it's gonna be. But I can eat radish raw all day. That's like one of my guilty pleasures. We're just gonna actually do quarter moons so we can be able to determine the difference between these and the other ingredients. If you cut different shapes, you'll be able to know what is what. You're not trying to figure out last minute while you're cooking that, oh no, I threw in the wrong ingredient. The shapes can be extremely important, which also is another good point to key on time and when and how long to cook said items. Alright, fire time. Get a little bit of heat there. Now, this is going to be the fun part. All those ingredients, will they fit in the skillet? Alright, we're going to find out. Hopefully everything's going to shrink down. That's a lot of ingredients. That's like a little bit for everybody to eat. typically I'm feeding everybody at work, feeding everybody here when they're here, and or, so food does not go bad. It's one of the advantages and disadvantages about being a culinary artist. When people see you, they think of food and eating. Now my next question, do I want to do chili oil? Yeah, let's do chili oil. Crisp. I just got this new stick. We'll tap into that. So, get a little bit of that. So it's like this chili sauce. It's acidic. So it's really, really what's the word I'm looking for? Like, can be tart, and it's a really, really great acid to be able to start breaking things down. And if y'all tune into my last videos, when I start cooking, I have a principle. The principle is to get flavor. To accomplish flavor, you need a reaction, and that reaction is it can be achieved through sodium chloride or salt, acid, such as that vinegars, chili sauces, different acidic compounds, base to 2 degrees. A base to extract set product of flavor and essence in. A base can be these ingredients here, or another base, like it could be a protein such as this here, meat. And then you also have base to the 2nd degree, base flavor. Base flavor or essences or concentrates can be essences such as bouillon base or chicken base, which is basically a concentrated chicken essence. It could be mushroom essence, could be stock. But if you combine these 4 principles, you will have flavor. Now I'm creating another base. I am seasoning my oil, which is garlic and ginger, and this is going to be the foundation of my flavor. And whoa, oh no! All right, show you a little trick. You take the jar and hit it like that in a circle against the way that it's supposed to turn. It opens. Voila! For any of you people that have not great of a grip and/or you have like no muscles to open jars, I learned that kitchen trick from Rose. Alright, so we're gonna, the thing about garlic, if you crank it up way too high, the garlic will burn. I mean, I could have cut down the ginger a little bit more, but it's alright. So now we're gonna get a little action going. Alright. I cranked the heat up just a little bit. Kind of move a little bit faster now that I have everything cooked. Normally, I'll start cutting while I'm cooking, but for entertainment purposes, in order to focus more on you, the audience, I'm going to be trying to make a fool of myself a little bit more and entertain you, because my personality is just this giant bubble that can sometimes make other people feel uncomfortable. But if you're here, most likely you're hella bored, doing nothing, in whatever realm or land you're in, and trying to tune in and escape what other realm you're in and be able to see somebody else's bubble. So welcome to my bubble. Alright, a little bit of onion, a little bit of that. Alright, so the garlic is starting to caramelize a little bit. And you have to keep an eye on it or it will burn. It will burn really fast. So what you can do is kind of, the more ingredients you uh, at a certain amount of time, it'll actually cool down your skillet because you're not overheating the skillet. You can also potentially, with a lot of practice, kind of get a caramelized garlic essence slash flavor if once you're comfortable enough, and you can kind of get like a brown crispy garlic that it can be a challenge to get, but it's really easy. You're like a hairline like to on the side to be able to like go from burnt to caramelize when you're doing that, though, because how high heat can be, and how if you're not babysitting it and be able to like hurry up and lower the temperature down of your skillet, it will definitely turn really fast and burn. Alright. Now that my onions are starting to become slightly translucent, they're not too translucent, they're still raw. Now remember, the key is to be able to cook everything at a certain temperature. Excuse me, not at a certain temperature, it's at a certain texture. That way it doesn't turn to mush. So my next thing I'm going to throw in is my daikon. Even though I should have waited, because I like that daikon crunch, but for this purpose, I'm going to cool off my garlic and ginger so it doesn't burn. And I know that the daikon's really resilient. So we're going to add some of this here chili oil, about 2 teaspoons. So we want this acids inside of here to kind of break down the essences more, and we can check a little bit later to see where the dish is at and see if it needs more. Uh-oh, did I not buy cornstarch? This may be a challenge indeed. Alright, let's see. I can't be out of cornstarch. That's okay. I have a little bit. I'm just gonna need to get more later on. I can make a little bit of slurry. Oh, I actually have a little bit left over from the last time I did it. So all hope is not lost. But we're also gonna want to add a little bit of salt, because right now all the reaction is starting to happen in the dish. So we want all the flavors to kind of break down on a molecular level. So it's a big key when you start adding your ingredients for that reaction to kind of happen. Now I'm gonna add some of this base chicken flavor. A little bit goes a long way. Oh no, but this is the same stuff that you basically also make ramen out of too. A bunch of other different ingredients, not just this. Alright, so that's not getting hot enough yet. We're going to want that to get a little bit more hot, so we're going to put a lid on. Ooh, that lid's dirty. We're going to handle that real quick. great remix. So right now I'm making a slurry for the sauce later. I have a little bit of cornstarch and cold water, not hot water, because if it's hot water it's going to clump up and it doesn't dissolve right. What you want is the cornstarch to be able to dissolve in order to thicken your sauce. And you don't want your sauce, your cornstarch or your slurry to be too thin. I mean, you just have to cook the water out of it a little bit more. A fork does excellent as a whisk in order to break all of that up. And give that a good keep stirring until you see all the clumps out of it. And what's going to happen is that it'll actually settle at the bottom. And I'm actually trying to reuse my cornstarch from last time because I'm almost out. I put it in a container and whatnot. So let's see. I've actually had this one chef that I don't know what he did, but his slurry, he must have like added it and like mix it right. And he was, believe it or not, trying to thicken up a fucking gumbo with it. And it was just so chunky. I was embarrassed for him. He was like, alright, you want me to pass it through a chinois and knock all these chunks out? Because this is like really bad. I don't think it's going to fly. And yeah, it was very interesting. In order to not to repeat his same mistakes, and try and stir. Chunk. Alright, now we got a little bit of action going. You can hear it sizzle, crackle, and popping, which is a sign that we are cooking. Now we're going to add the mushrooms next. And we're going to add the beef last because it's cut extremely thin. And I don't like rubber beef. Break down these here stems. Snap for me. Now, one of the things, I love eating the stems. I don't mind. Everybody has a different preference. But if you do eat the stems, best thing you can do is throw them in first. They take a little bit longer to cook. I actually cut mine a little bit thinner so they don't take as long to cook. But that's essence, nutrients, all of the flavor to savor. So there's no point in wasting those. And the Asian cauliflower, they're on these long strands. They're not like clumps like America type of cauliflower, like that. It's like that clump. It's gorgeous. You see that? That's gorgeous. And completely edible. Alright. We got caramelization happening here. So we're probably going to let this roll for about, I don't know, a few minutes. Kind of see my mushrooms almost cooked. Always try, because if you try as you go, you start getting an idea of how the flavors are developing. Nah, I think I'm going to save walnuts for later, because I got a lot of things going on here. And I have a protein, therefore, I really don't need walnuts and or almonds. But if you're a vegan/vegetarian, that would be a great additional route to go as a source of protein in your stir fry. You can do like walnuts, almonds, peanuts, etc., etc. And in that direction, it'll kind of, you're able to do your diet and, yeah, still come out with decent flavor. Oh no. One of the things you want to be aware of is the bottom of the skillet. In these particular electric skillets, there's this ring at the bottom of it that heats up really fast. Now that it's about halfway cooked, it's about the time I want to start adding my other ingredients, because what I'm doing is actually cooling off my skillet. Alright, so let's see how long I'll do this. Got cauliflower, bok choy, and meat. Let's do meat on top. Cook down the cauliflower a little bit. That way my bok choy will fit. Meat on top, meat juices and all that essence. And another thing you can do too, we're going to do is add a little bit of water at the bottom. Because what this is going to do is kind of, one, cool down the skillet. Two, we're going to make a sauce. But all these essences and all the base flavor that I was telling you I was creating, it's going to turn to a sauce. And the slurry or the cornstarch and water mixture will thicken up so you have actually something to coat on the rice. Because I also have rice in the back that I was cooking prior for this video got started that I needed the oil for, that I made a comment to. But if you were paying attention, speaking of that, I'm going to take me a little chunk. Dun, 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 dun. All right. So I know y'all can't taste this, but the bottom of it, a lot of those flavors that salt and the salt, the bouillon base, excuse me, or the chicken base, and all that jazz was at the bottom of it. So you can kind of like taste all that flavor gathering. It's phenomenal, and you can kind of get an idea of the stages when as you taste as you go to get an idea of how much of each ingredient that you want to put, because this is a softcore chemistry experiment slash chemistry is that what this is. So keeping that in mind, you're always getting reactions, and there's certain stages where more flavors are more noticeable than others. And with that being, keeping that principle in mind, it takes time on a molecular level for your acids and your molecules to break down. So it may take a second, even after cooking, for all the flavors to literally absorb back into it. Because when you're cooking an item down, what's happening is there's moisture being released, especially in proteins like meat and chicken. So what you're doing is you're cooking out the water literally out of that set base product. And what happens is you can either evaporate it in the pan or concentrate it by cooking it down, and that's usually what sauces are, is that base cooking, that flavor being reduced, and that base product, whatever it is, it could be my protein or the vegetables, and after it's been heated up and it sits for a minute, it's going to reabsorb all of that essence that cooked out of it. So that sauce on the side, whatnot, once it starts reducing more and becoming more concentrated, you're going to get more of a good flavor versus it being watered down and whatnot. Also, I added a little bit of water in order to kind of cook the cauliflower a little bit and create that steam effect, and basically creating a sauce. But at the same time, if you end up adding too much water, you can always take the cover off in order to release that liquid out, and the more you cook it down, the thicker it's going to get. Because if it's too thin, your cornstarch slash slurry mix may not work. You may have to put more. But at the same time, is if you add too much of the slurry, it'll turn gummy, and the gummy, it's not desirable is the word I'm looking for. It works, but it's not exactly so it's some people that have texture who are texture tasters will not go for that. All right, I won't crank you up because I'm getting impatient. Dun, 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 dun. And in reality, I could be doing dishes right now, but that will be very loud and obnoxious. This is one of the last things I want to do while I'm streaming. So I'm just going to be semi-productive and try to break up its cornstarch more. And I have no lid right now. This cheap thing broke. So yeah, any donations indoor subs would be awesome because I could buy a sexy ass skillet. I kid. I got my own job, but it's a slow process. You know how it goes. Hence why I'm not always streaming. Alright, so the cauliflower is extremely cooked right now. So this is about the time when I add everything else before it gets too cooked. Oh no. Bok choy down. Up, grab you. And then we're gonna take this here beef and kind of spread it out. Holy moly, this stuff is cut extremely thin. That cat is definitely not happy doing this. I should have see, normally when it's cut this thin, wow, I should have what would have helped if it was still a little bit more cold and frozen. It could probably be a little bit more manageable, but I didn't anticipate it being this thin. That's okay, it's okay, it's okay. I'm only cooking for me, it's not like I'm trying to impress a hot date or anything. Alright, you see how that portion's a little bit more frozen? It's a little bit, it holds a little bit better. So if you actually go and get meat cut like this, it would be a lot wiser to peel it when it's more frozen. Or if you've got a meat slicer and you're doing it yourself, what you can do is put parchment paper in little squares. That way it's able to, you can pull and keep the full strands of beef. Ooh, this sucker is melting. Like literally the mouth. Alright, so we're gonna add a little bit of that. Alright. A little bit of cleaning. Alright, now where did my towel go? Mr. Towel, show yourself. Okay, I found the towel. Okay, so the cauliflower is absolutely cooked. So at this point, I'm trying to add my slurry and get a sauce going because we're not going to try to cook this as least amount as possible since the beef is cut extremely thin and it's actually breaking apart. How about that? And everything else is already cooked. Now all it is, name of the game is resting or resting your food. I'm trying to get those flavors in it, so I'm gonna add a little bit of slurry there. I'm gonna come back here, spread it out, spread it out, spread it out. And we're gonna need a little bit of time for that to work its magic and thicken up, because if you don't give it time, then it will go south really fast. Now that I have a little bit of water, and you see all that liquid's already gone. Matter of fact, I'm gonna need to add a little bit more, because now it turned to complete goop, or like it is extremely thick, which means it's not gonna have any sauce. little bit too much. A little bit at a time. Oh, I forgot one of the most important ingredients of all. Shoyu sauce. A little bit, since it's at the end of it. We kind of want it to break down. I should have added a little bit earlier, but you don't have to. But I just want that essence. And another thing too, always add at the end sesame oil. Do I have any sesame? If I was a sesame oil, where would I be? Dun 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 dun. I'll be alright. And if you're celiac, you can't have soy sauce. They do make gluten-free soy sauce. Or you don't even have to have soy sauce. You can do this without it. And it appears that my beef is not holding up very well. Everything's basically cooked. The thing I'm trying to do is make sure my sauce is good. And we're going to let that sit for a while. Alright. Once it sits, you see how everything looks, it's actually holding together. The longer you cook it, the more it's going to break down. The more it breaks down, the more it's just going to turn a glump. And you're not going to have like any form of textures of any of your ingredients. Oh yeah. We're going to let that sit, gather flavors, because that's what we're going to want. So in the meantime, we're going to do this right here. I'm going to play me some of the video games. In the meantime, the question is, what type of video games do I want to play? Alright. I think I can turn that light up. That light's gonna be annoying really fast. Okay. Let's see how this holds up. It's no flight. Yeah, this monitor is fucking dope. It lights me up. Then again, will I still be lit with the game? Gonna grab me some juice. Yeah, I don't know if y'all have ever had these aloe drinks, but if you haven't, you are absolutely completely missing out. Oh, it's hot. Hot, 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 hot. Oh, I got some people playing League. Do I want to play League? Fuck it, why not? Up. No, they're already in game. Holy shit, I'm fucking like hot. Headphones are no fucking joke. They heat you up. If I can get a fan. is going on? Why it's not picking up my game? Interesting. That light did pop up. Can't see me. What do you mean looking for game? How can you be looking for a game when I'm like here? Gonna try to reset my